Hey friends, welcome back. I am still alive. I have been racking my brain on how to jump back into publishing videos. Life has just been extremely fast-paced lately. We are entering gardening season. We brought our milk cows home a couple of months ago. We are wrapping up our school year in the next 6 to 7 weeks. I just got through our craziest week of the year for work. And it hit me on my way home from running some errands this morning that I just need to jump in. For me, publishing YouTube videos is so much more about habit than having content. I always have content that I'd love to share with you, but it's really more about the habit of getting my phone out, because that's all I use for filming and recording my everyday life. The title of today's video is Just Do the Next Thing, because that is what I'm doing today. You can see behind me, I have days worth of laundry to catch up on, and I will explain that in a minute. My bed is not fully made. I've got to make bread so that my little ones have lunch for tomorrow, and I need to start supper, and I need to go hang some clothes on the line before I go pick my kids up from school. So let's jump in. As with most things in life, if you are in the habit of doing something like making bread, it really isn't a burden and doesn't take much time. All I'm doing right here is getting my warm water, honey, and yeast going. I'm going to let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes. Could be a little less, could be a whole lot more. And then I'm going to go hang some clothes out on the clothesline. About 6 months ago, we invested in a Speed Queen washing machine. These are supposed to last 25 to 30 years with no problems whatsoever. Well, guess what? We've owned ours for 6 months and it is leaking and not spinning all the way out. So I've been going back and forth to my office to work on laundry. Thankfully, Speed Queen is under full warranty, and they sent a repairman out who originally thought he was going to have to replace some parts and then discovered the remnants of this big fluffy sock was wedged between the tub and the barrel of the machine. Every time it was refilling itself and not spinning all the way out, it was trying to balance out its tub. Oh my goodness. The twins had inadvertently way overfilled the washing machine, and this sock got stuck. So we are now back up and running. Here is a quick little tour of what's going on in the greenhouse right now. I have lots of seedlings doing excellently. I don't even think I could call them seedlings anymore. They are full-grown plants, and we are starting to put these out in the garden. We got about 25 tomatoes planted over the weekend, along with all of our beans and okra. I got some raspberries in the ground and about half of our sunflowers. This coming weekend, we will be putting all of these seed potatoes in the ground, as well as all of our sweet potato slips. These are some of our herbs and flowers. This video was taken before I put about half of those sunflowers in the ground. And there are some beets and carrots. And this was the beginning of our squash and zucchini. Finally, I am back in the kitchen adding salt to my yeast, water, and honey mixture. I added a little over a tablespoon because I have started adding more melted butter than what is called for, because the more fat that you have in your, like oil or butter that you have in your bread, the softer and fluffier it's going to be. So I like to add a little bit extra. So instead of 3 tablespoons of melted butter, I now add like 4.5 or so, which just means I add just a little bit more flour toward the end to make a nice dough ball that pulls away from the sides. Since I have not been able to find bread flour in bulk since COVID, I now am back to using Vital Wheat gluten in with my regular all-purpose flour. I also use this some when I make whole wheat bread, but this is just white flour that I'm making today for sandwich bread. This recipe will make 2 large sandwich loaves, and I am adding 3 tablespoons of Vital Wheat gluten to my mixer. From here, I am simply adding a little more flour at a time until my dough forms a nice ball and begins to pull away from the sides. I let it rise once in the oven on the bread proofing mode, and then again in the loaf pans, and then I bake at 350 for about 27 or 28 minutes. I also like to rub a little bit of butter on the top of my finished loaves to kind of soften the crust a bit. This is my view from my bedroom window. Our sweet penny girl out in the pasture just eating the green grass. Look how green everything is. I am so very thankful for spring. Everything is blossoming and blooming, and the animals are loving it. I am a very visual person, so for many years I would tape several pieces of graph paper together, and each little square of the graph paper equaled 6 inches of space in my garden, and I would draw out these beautiful garden plans. I would plant accordingly, and all was right in my very visual world. Fast forward to today, and I did tape some graph paper together, and the extent of my planning was to draw in the 4 little rhubarb plants that I put in the ground about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I don't think I will go any further than that. My garden is twice the size that it is in this picture here. This is from a couple of years ago. And I know where I like to put everything. We have quite a few cattle panels that are staked in to support tomatoes and okra. We have a really big bean trellis made out of 16-foot cattle panels that are bent into a nice arch. And so I always plant my pole beans there because they grow up and over beautifully. I'm so excited for everything to start blooming. But I just wanted to share this with you because I do miss this beautiful plan. But at this point in my life, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants and going with what I know. And I am excited to have you with me for this year's garden. Back in the house, I decided to be very real with you and bring you over to my side of the bed in my bedroom and show you this disastrous fire that needs to be put out. This is the result of the week before our busiest week of work for the year. I just made piles of things everywhere. It was disastrous. Well, I set a timer for about 30 minutes, and this was my finished product. I put those books back where they belong. I organized everything. I did the laundry on my bed, and now I can sleep at night without the risk of standing up and breaking my ankle on one of those piles of books. I don't know why I wait so long to tidy up spaces that are important to me. Time to prep for dinner. I've decided to make beef and cheese enchiladas for dinner, and that means I need to make tortillas. Now, on days when I start prepping dinner after lunch or sometime in the early afternoon, it's no big deal to make tortillas. It takes about 5 minutes to pull the dough together. You let it rest for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I have an electric tortilla press that makes it nice and easy. Tortillas definitely don't have to be perfect, but they can be even more imperfect when you're just going to wrap them up and pour sauce and cheese over them. My enchilada recipe is so incredibly simple. I mixed together already cooked ground venison, some shredded cheese, and some enchilada sauce. I might add a little bit of chili powder or salt and pepper, and then I wrap up the filling in the tortillas and I top with more enchilada sauce and cheese, and I cook until the whole thing is a little bubbly. I usually serve it with some Spanish rice and corn or even a salad on the side. Since weaning the calf, we now have excess milk to sell to our friends and family. So the last thing on my list today was to deliver this milk to a friend. When I got home, I used our other excess milk to make mozzarella. I had not made mozzarella in over 10 years. It was fun. I followed a couple YouTube videos, and I will share that process with you in another video. I'm so glad to be back with you guys. Thanks for watching.